Indo-Chinese, Robere Associates have helped over 3,000 different companies to identify their training and consulting needs. Today, we'll be talking and asking questions with the President, Dr. Paul James Robere. Please tell us about yourself. What is your duty and position at Robere Associates?
Well, my name is Paul Robere, and I came to Thailand back in 1988, actually, to set up an electronics manufacturing firm in Pathum Thani. After about 2 or 3 years of running the factory, and I've been running factories for a long time, I realized that's not really what I wanted to do. So in 1991, we decided to start a company, a very small company for a very limited period of time, called Robere Associates. And the purpose of Robere Associates was to provide training and consulting for companies that wanted to do things better. I really didn't know that I was going to be here as long as I did. I thought it was going to be just a short time because the American Chamber asked me to do some training and consulting. So we started the company, and all of a sudden it was at the time when everybody in Thailand wanted to be certified to something, a quality standard or an environmental standard or an occupational health and safety standard. And so we were there were only 2 training and consulting firms in Thailand, only 2. And that company left, so we were the only ones. And at that time, there were only like 24 companies in Thailand that were certified to ISO 9001, 2, or 3. And then, all of a sudden, our business grew. And so for the past 31 years now, we have been providing, Robere Associates has been providing training and consulting to companies to develop management standards that are internationally recognized. So they allow me then to become the non-Thai involved. And so we've been very, very fortunate. I think that we have changed the lives of a lot of people. We've helped a lot of companies survive during difficult times. And now that we are celebrating our 31st year in Thailand, we started in 1991. Our 31st year, we've helped over 4,500 companies become certified and tens of thousands of people. Now we're doing a lot online. So it's been a wonderful 31 years.
Can you please let our viewer know about the objective of Robere Association?
Robere Associates as a company was developed to provide training and consulting to companies to help them improve processes. I had the opportunity to work with a gentleman back in the 80s, 84, 85, Dr. Edwards Deming. And Dr. Edwards Deming was the man who went to Japan in 1950-51 to help them recover. So I had a chance to work with him, and that was the time that I realized that there was an opportunity to help companies identify opportunities for improvement, not only for products and services, but also to improve the quality of life for their employees. You know, many times companies would think of employees just as useful commodities and resources, but we help them really identify the training and the skills that they needed to really become successful. So our role and our mission is to provide organizations with the knowledge and skills that they need to be successful. If they're successful, we're successful.
What do you like about Robere Associates?
The fact that they let me come here on a regular basis. On a serious note, I think that we have had over the years many different Thai individuals who work for us as trainers and consultants. Not only did they provide a service for us, but every one of them, after working with us, have gone on to create their own businesses to help them do things to help other people. So we started out small, and as we added staff, we trained them. They learned something. It changed their lives. I look back now, and I can see people who were our consultants 25 years ago. They have become married. They have children. Their children are growing up. Their children are getting married. So I have been able to see a continuation over the past 31 years of development with not only our staff, but they have gone on to help other people. So what do I like about the organization is the fact that we've been in a time and place that would really allow us to do things to help Thai society and to help the people who come to Thailand to really enjoy the benefits of being in this country.
How does the consulting projects work with the organization?
I think the question to ask would be, what is consulting? And consulting is being able to help companies understand that they have the answers to the problems that they think that they have. The way that a consulting project works, and much of our consulting has been with the development of international standards, quality, environment, health and safety, automotive, aerospace, hospitals, is to go in and to identify the steps that they're taking to provide goods and services. The problem that we have then is helping them to develop the processes so that it meets those standards. Now, it's very easy because over 8 or 9 months we help them to develop standards. Then at the end of that time, a certification body comes in, and then they recognize what the organization has done, and they audit the organization against those standards. So that consulting project is very simple, because we are auditing and we're helping the companies to develop a system, a process against a particular system. The challenge comes when companies have specific problems that are not necessarily standard related. Maybe they have personnel problems. Maybe they have supply chain management problems. Maybe they have communication issues. Maybe they have staffing problems. So we get involved with helping companies to identify what resources they have, how they can maximize those resources and the effectiveness of those resources to help them achieve their objectives. So actually our job is to really help them to understand themselves. It's interesting, people will say, you know, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I would turn that question around and say, well, under these circumstances, what would you do? Well, they have the answers, you see. So our job is to really help them to understand themselves.
What are your advice for startups or companies who would like their employees to grow and level up their skills and responsibilities?
Oh, several questions there. What advice would I give for people who want to start up? Well, I used to teach a course at the university on small business organization and development many years ago. And the things that I used to tell people is, one, do what you enjoy doing. Whatever that might be. If you're going to start a company or involved with any type of activity, you must enjoy it. You've got to have fun doing it. Otherwise, you're going to be bored and you're going to be tired and you're going to hate going to work in the morning time. So you find something that you enjoy. Secondly, is there a market? You look and you say, you know, I like to make coffee. Fine. Is there a market? Well, yes, there's a market for people who drink coffee. I like to do training. I like to be on stage. I like people to look at me. Is there a market for that? Well, yes, there is, because people want to develop. People want to advance. People want to have the knowledge and the skills necessary so that they can grow in what they're doing. So, in my particular case, I got involved, even though I ran factories for many years, I finally got to a point doing something that I really, truly enjoy. And that is helping people develop, helping people do things. Now, I have to say that I've also been involved with the Bangkok Community Theater for the past 30 years, and that means I get to be on stage. So all of that then comes right into the training and the consulting that we're doing. So find something that you enjoy doing. Find the market that you feel that you can fill. And then develop the tools necessary to really be able to provide that service or that product within a given period of time. Now, what was the second question that you had?
For companies.
Okay, well, we just talked about deciding how to start up a company, how to do something that you enjoy doing, find the market, find the skills, and the best thing is to look at your competition. What are they doing? What are they doing right? And try to follow their example.
All right, thank you. Can you share with us how your training courses works, one by one, briefly, and why they are essential for companies' growth? We can start with administrative skills.
Okay, let's talk about training. I'm sure that everybody knows that for the past couple of years, things have changed. They've changed in Thailand and around the world because people can't travel. People are afraid of getting in a room, with a lot of people who breathe without wearing a mask. And so the way that we conduct our training, the way that we share information then has changed. Now, with all of our programs, no matter what it be, administrative or career development or skills, we always, in the past, 2 years ago, we used to bring people into our training facility and they would sit together and you can see each other and you can put people in teams and they can work together, and that's good because then people share information. Education is not the instructor talking all the time. It's how you share information with each other. Now, unfortunately, 2 years ago, that all changed. That all changed and people began to realize, what are we going to do now? We're not going to be able to sit in a classroom close to each other and be able to talk with each other because of the possible COVID infection. So what do we do? So then we had to change our methodology of training, and that meant going online. And this was a whole new concept for a lot of instructors, especially like me, who was used to standing in front of a class, looking at the eyes of the students, getting applause if necessary. So we had to learn a whole new skill level. Now, a lot of our courses are certified courses. They're certified internationally. And that meant that when we went from a classroom environment where we could have an interactive participation by all the students, we had to go to a virtual instructor-led training environment online. So it meant that we had to change the way we do things. And it's not just sitting and looking at a camera and talking to the camera and clicking on the slides and talking and clicking on the slides. It means, how do we get people involved? How do we get them to be interactive? Well, so we have changed how we do it. We do use Zoom, as I'm sure a lot of people do, but it's not just a matter of lecture, talking, and watching slides. We break people into breakout rooms. Now, if I teach a course, I teach it in English because my Thai is not that good. But if they're working in their teams, then they can talk in their language. If we have an Indian group, no problem, they can talk in their local language. And we have offices in Turkey and Egypt and UAE and Pakistan and Qatar and Iran and Indonesia and Malaysia. And in each of those areas now, they're allowing their students to work in their particular areas. So that has changed. In the past, I taught a course at a local university, and I would go into the classroom and I would teach the students and they would all be there and everybody was happy. So I'm teaching class starting in January, and I went back to my old courseware provider, my old book provider. It happens to be McGraw-Hill. Everybody knows McGraw-Hill. I found out now that McGraw-Hill has a whole package called Connect that is based upon doing things online. The students don't have to carry big books anymore. They can actually look at the material on their phone and they can read it. They have instructions that they will follow. And when they come to the classroom, they'll have breakout rooms, they'll have instructions, they'll have quizzes, they'll have games. So now learning has taken on a whole new level, and how it's to be done and how we can actually provide people, whether it's, like I said, no matter what the knowledge is, whether it's a standard, whether it's human resources, whether it's administrative, whether it's financial, no matter what it is, we now have a whole new platform and a whole new way of doing things.
What do you think is the main reason of people quitting their job this year?
That's a very good question. If you were to ask me that question 3 years ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, I would say, well, they're wanting more money. They're wanting to advance. They're wanting to find a new position. They want to do this, they want to do that. That was 3 years ago. 2 years ago, something very interesting happened. A lot of companies shut down. A lot of factories reduced their working hours. Work at home, work remotely. And now what has happened is that people have begun to realize that there are better ways to have self-fulfillment, to be able to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. And that is, they're looking for new opportunities. Look, COVID-19 has been horrible, but there's an old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. And as a result, people are now considering alternatives to what they used to do. If they have to go to a factory and do manual labor, that's one thing. But if they're administrative, they maybe can work at home. So people now have found out, maybe I don't have to have that type of working environment. Maybe I can work at home. Maybe I can do something else. I've had a lot of friends. In fact, today I had a visit from one of our former employees who used to be here. She had to resign to take care of her mother, but she came back now and she has a whole new business that she started. You know, she wanted to share with me about her new business. She's selling oils, fragrant oils. But she has found something new that she likes to do. And so people now are not staying with the old traditional, I've been with this company for 30 years and I'm going to retire from this company. Now, people are looking for new opportunities and new ways of doing things. So that's the reason. Interestingly enough, in the United States, because I track what's happening in the US, is that people are having a hard time hiring people because they don't want to come back to work. You know, come join us and we'll give you big bonuses and everything. People don't want to do that. So now I think people are looking for new ways of accomplishing their own personal goals and objectives. I've told people over the years, do a plan, what you want to do. What is your objective? At the end of this life cycle, what is it that you want to accomplish? I want to do this, or do this, or do this, or do this. Fine. What steps are you going to take to get there? Personal story. Many years ago, I was a student in the US, and I was going to be a religious teacher. I was going to go to a foreign land and I was going to help people, you know, become better, and I was going to help people accomplish great things. Well, that didn't work out because I didn't like the politics involved with the church at that time, right? So, but I did want to go to a foreign land and I did want to help people, and it just so happened that the steps that I took, working in manufacturing, working with overseas development, coming to Thailand in 1988, here I am. I am here in a foreign land, able to help people accomplish their objectives. And so I've been able to do that. So when I counsel people, when I work with people, I say, develop your plan, develop the steps involved, and then that way that will help you accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Thank you. That was very inspiring. What advice would you give to aspiring leaders, managers, or someone who would like to start a company of their own?
Well, if you're going to be a leader, and let's then take away this whole concept of an autocratic approach to running companies. The boss. I have seen thousands of companies in Thailand. Some companies I go, and the boss is sitting in the room with a big desk and the closed door and hides out, and his golf clubs are in the corner. Golf clubs, and so call me if there's a problem, and maybe I'll listen to you. But then there's some companies that I go to, and they have the manager's desk is in the big room with all of the other employees. Open door policy. So what do I tell leaders? First of all, listen. Managers, supervisors, executives talk too much. Listen to what people are telling you. I've had the opportunity to help people who come to Thailand and they want to run a company. I'm going to be the boss, and they come in with the expectation that they are going to tell people what to do. Well, the smart ones will listen to what people tell them. I first came to Thailand and I started the company in Pathum Thani. It was a disk drive manufacturing company. And the first thing that I realized was that at 5:30, quitting time, I looked and a lot of people still here. And well, I'm going to stay a little bit longer because I don't want people to think that I'm leaving before they do. And then 5:30, and then 6 o'clock, and then 6:15, and I'm looking at my watch and saying, why isn't anybody leaving? My human resource director came up to me and he says, they're waiting for you to leave before they leave, you see? And so I didn't know that. So I tell all of my friends who would come from the US or come from the UK or come from Australia or come from anywhere, who's going to run a company, who's going to be the leader of the company, not the manager, but the leader, be the leader of the company, to listen to what people say. Take their ideas, no matter who they are, what they're doing. I have learned, because of being exposed to many different cultures in Thailand, many different types of operation, that everybody's got an answer to a solution, no matter where they are in the organization. I consulted a company one time here in Thailand, a very well-known company, and this was about 30 years ago now, and I would go in and the coffee lady would say, what would you have? Coffee, please, black, no cream, no sugar. Oh, thank you. The company became certified. I went back 5 years later just to visit the staff. I walked in, here's the coffee lady. And she says, here's your coffee, black. How did you know that? I go back to her coffee area and she's got a chart. And she's got the names, and she's got what everybody wants. So she knew in her job what was important to listen to people. So you want to lead people in the organization to help them accomplish their objectives. You don't want to manage people, because if you try to manage people, everybody are going to stop and wait for you to make a decision. So leadership is important.
Do you have a role model in life?
Well, I have many, but I think if I could pick one role model, it would be two people. Professionally, when I worked with Dr. Edwards Deming, who was one of probably the quality guru of the 20th century, I learned from him the importance of people and what they could contribute to the organization. I learned from him that instead of auditing everything, you allow people to do their jobs and let them take credit for doing the jobs and take pride in what they're doing. So I learned a lot from him professionally. From a personal standpoint, I was exposed, coming to Thailand, to the kingdom of Thailand, and I had never been exposed to a kingdom relationship. I became aware of the role that King Rama IX played in the development of Thailand. Not only did he come up with scientific approaches to doing things, but he would go out and meet with the people. He would listen to the people. He led people no matter what his role was, no matter what his position was. He was a leader. And it is for that reason that I learned, I think, from him, and I had the opportunity to meet him once, to learn from him how important it is to serve people. As a king, you can do anything you want, but his role was to serve people. This was the other person that I learned from. Professionally, Dr. Deming, and from a personal standpoint, this gentleman, because he showed me what it meant, not only to be the head of a kingdom, to be head of a country, but also to listen and to lead by example. That's a lesson that all of us could learn by.
Paul, what is the best advice you have received in your life?
The best that I've received, I think it is to listen and learn from others. You can learn anything you want as long as you don't despise the source. You see, you may find someone who you think, well, they don't really know anything about what I'm trying to do because I'm much smarter than they are. But you'll find out that there are people who have the answers to the things that you need to know. And if you break down this barrier of thinking they don't know anything, then you can learn a lot. A number of years ago, I was the manager of production for a company in California. And we were having a problem. We were building disk drives, and at that time, disk drives were big things, right? And we were having a problem with this, and all these engineers were scratching their heads, and they're running tests, and they're doing all of this. And I looked over across the way at the other assembly line, and there was a little old lady, gray-haired, and she was sitting there, and she was taking apart, and she'd look at it, and put it over here. Take that apart. Oh, this is okay. Put it over here. Take that apart. Yeah, okay, that's good. And I'm thinking, what is she doing? And it happened to be the part that these engineers were trying to understand. Okay? So I go over to her and I says, Margaret, what are you doing? Oh, she says, these parts are bad. How do you know these parts are bad? Well, she says, look, it's very simple. And she was showing me that the varnish, the covering was dark, which means that it came from a different vendor. And this vendor, I says, really? She said, well, sure, these are all bad. Have you told anybody? Well, I told the supervisor, but he didn't do anything. Oh, really? So I take the bad one, take the good one, I take it to the engineers, and I say, try these. This one's bad. Well, how do you know? Have you run tests? Yeah, I've run tests, right? Try this one. They test it. They say, you're absolutely correct. It's not correct. It doesn't meet spec. How do you know that? Because the expert is sitting right over there on production line number 2. She knows what the problem is. So the best advice is, don't despise the source. Recognize that people have all the answers you need for you to accomplish the objective that you need to accomplish. And so I try to do that. And every time that I find that I start to build up a wall, I start to say, maybe that person has something important to say that I better listen to.
Great advice. So, in your free time, what are your hobbies?
Wow. Well, free time actually is involved with developing and it sounds like work actually, but my work is my fun. I get involved an awful lot with developing new courses for people. I'm helping an individual right now do a book that I have a whole office at home where I develop material. So it helps me to constantly look at new things. I'm going to be helping the president of a new university, a university here in town, starting next month, and so that's giving me an opportunity. So I have the opportunity to become involved with different things. I like theater. Like I said, I've been involved with the Bangkok Community Theater for 30 plus years. Been on stage many times. So we try to take advantage of the time that we have and do things to help other people accomplish their objectives. So hobbies, yeah. I think that just being able to do the things that I enjoy doing, and that makes my day a happy day.
Thank you. So last but not least, before we end here, do you have anything to say to our viewers? Do you want to greet them? If you do, please feel free to do so.
Well, I would like to say to all of my Indo-Thai viewers that thank you for the time that you've allowed me to share with you today some of the things that I think are important to me, but also important to you and your viewers as well. There's a lot of opportunity involved in Thailand. A lot of, Thailand is like a basket. You can come and you can take everything you want out of this basket, and having the opportunity to see what is happening in Thailand through Indo-Thai productions is the thing that's going to help you when you come to visit, and maybe come and stay for a while. Because you see, not only is Thailand becoming the center of ASEAN with medical health care, with training, with opportunities, but it's also a chance to really come and become involved as well. And so it's like a sponge. Thailand will absorb anything that you want to provide. And I look forward to seeing you come and visit us. So thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of your production today, and we look forward to seeing you real soon.
Thank you everyone for watching. This was a very informative video. Hope you guys enjoy and learn more about Robere and Associates. See you guys in the next episode. Thank you.